The name of my company, well, the name of the website is RLS Home Solutions, but my LLC is RLS Properties. I'm CEO. I'm president of the company, chief bottle washer, accountant, everything. That's me. I am RLS Properties. What do we provide? Well, we're an investment company. So what we do is we do rentals. So we take properties that need some work, we fix them up, and we provide very nice, safe, quality housing for tenants. So if I take a property, sometimes people say, well, Rick, you're taking advantage of someone who was foreclosed on. I'm not taking advantage of anybody. I didn't cause their problem. So if I take a property that's been abandoned and I fix it up, the bank gets some money, they're happy, right? It's going back on the tax rolls, so the municipality is happy. I'm fixing it up because it might be an eyesore now, so the neighbors are happy. I'm providing nice housing, affordable housing for some family that's going to rent it from me. They're happy. So I like the idea that what I'm doing, I'm creating a win-win-win-win situation. Everybody's winning. If I do a flip and I sell it, it's the same thing. I'm taking a property, I'm fixing it up, and I am making it pleasant for the neighbors. I mean, sometimes I go to properties and people say to me, tell me you're the buyer and you're fixing this up because look at this mess. Yeah, I'm fixing it. Oh, thank you so much. We've been waiting so long for someone to come along and take this property, this eyesore, and make it attractive again. So if I'm selling it to a family, so again, I like the idea that I'm creating win-win-win, how many wins I don't know, situations for people, and I'm making some money doing it. I was born in New York, and so I'm a Yankee and a Met fan. Sorry, Phillies fans, that's the way it is. I'm a New York fan, and you're going to have to live with it. All right, because I'm from New York. I was a musician. I met my wife in Queens College at in the music department. And I was a music teacher, public school music teacher for 10 years. What I didn't like was that I was on a salary guide. And I could be the best teacher, a better teacher than someone who were taught longer than I, but I was making less money than them because they had taught more years. And I resented that. And I always had this entrepreneurial spirit in me. If I'm going to work, I'm going to get paid for it. And I have this authority thing. I don't like people telling me what to do. So, but don't tell my wife I said that. So I got involved with real estate to start investing in it. But I got my real estate license so I would have more knowledge. But then I started selling real estate part-time when I was still a school teacher. I really liked it. And I was making as much money selling real estate part-time as I was as a school teacher. And teaching school all day, it got in the way. So the big leap was to leave teaching, which I did in 1987. And the biggest problem with that was that my kids were 4 and 1. Yeah, or 3 and 1. And although I wasn't making much money as a school teacher, my wife wasn't working because she was home with the kids, and I had the medical benefits. And teachers' benefits is really they're hard to replace on the outside. But I was miserable as a teacher. I was absolutely miserable. So one day, my wife knew how miserable I was, and I had to go the next day, and I had to sign. It was the summer. I had to sign my contract for the following year, and she knew I just didn't want to do it. So my wife, being the supportive wife that she is, said to me, look, you go tomorrow and resign. You follow your dream to be a full-time real estate agent investor, and we'll be fine. So knowing that she had my back, I did. I went the next day and resigned and became a full-time real estate agent. It took me a while to start investing, but I became a real estate agent. I've been in the business now 33 years, about 31 years or so as a full-time real estate broker. I've been a broker managing an office for the last 13 years. I was an agent for 20 years and an investor. And I love what I do. You got to have a passion. You have to love what you do because life is too short. You can't say, well, some people, well, I'm going to wait till I'm retired. And do what? You're going to wait until you're pooping in your depends? You got to enjoy your life now. So I have no regrets. I love what I do. I make a good living. And I get up every morning and I can't wait to get going. So that's why I do what I do. Well, I incorporated RLS Properties LLC, incorporated in 2012. And quite honestly, I wasn't doing much. I had done a few investments prior to that, but I really got serious around 7 years ago. I'm 66 now. I know I look much younger, but I was in my mid to late 50s, and I said to myself, if I don't do something, I will never retire, because I was living like a lot of people do from not commission to commission, or paycheck to paycheck. It's the same thing. And I was paying the bills, but that's all I was doing. And in real estate, you're as good as your last commission. So and in managing, I'm as good as my last salary paycheck. So I realized if I wanted to have a future, I had to do something. And frankly, I do not understand the stock market. I sit down in the morning, have my coffee, and I watch the financial channel, Squawk Box. I have no idea what they're talking about. It's another language, but I do understand real estate. So that's why I started investing in real estate, and I still don't understand the stock market. I don't know what they're talking about, but I do understand the language of real estate. I started investing probably about 25 years ago, but sporadically. A property here, a property there. But as I just said, that I really didn't start seriously until maybe maybe 7 or 8 years ago, because again, I looked at my IRA and it was okay if I was 20 years younger. But in the mid-50s, saying I don't want to do this, at some point I want to walk away from management. I wouldn't be able to do it unless I had income to replace it. Well, what's the best way to have income to replace it? Would be rental income. And then my tenants are paying down the mortgage, so I have assets and so forth and so on. So that's what I've been doing. I really got serious age 57, 58, say about 7 or 8 years ago. That's when I really got serious about it. The aha moment was when I started selling real estate part-time, and I really loved it, and I was making money on doing it. But what held me back was, again, even though I wasn't making much money as a teacher, Jonathan, back in 87, I left teaching in 1987 with 10 years on the salary guide and a master's degree. And I was making $26,000 a year. Now, even back in 87, you can't support a family of 4 on $26,000 a year. So I always had to work 2 jobs. And I really resented that I was a school teacher doing something that I thought was really, really important. And the guys on the school board who were deciding how much of a raise I would get, if anything, were making $50,000 a year. And I'm struggling to support my family. I'm saying, there's something wrong with this equation. But being an entrepreneur, let me go out there, and if I'm going to work hard, I have no problem with working hard. I got no problem working 6, 7 days a week. I really don't, because I know what I do, so it's not work. I'm not going to work. I'm building something for me and my family. So, but what held me back was, I have the benefits and so forth. But when my wife, and we're still married, and we're married 42 years, and when we hit 40, we re-upped for another 40. And she said to me, baby, I want you to be happy. You will be fine. Just go out and do what you want to do. And I knew that when there would be bumps in the road, and you can't control the economy, and there would be good months and maybe bad months, good years, bad years. I knew that she wouldn't, no matter how bad things got, not that I anticipated things getting bad, but they did, that she wasn't going to throw it up to me. She was going to say, her best expression was when they had a bad day and the deal didn't close and this went south, she would say to me, Ricky, the great thing about days, D-A-Y-S, is there's always another one tomorrow. So knowing I had that support, that was really important. Because if you don't, and you have someone constantly harping on you, why don't you go get a real job? Let's start from when I started getting serious about it. All right. And this will give hope for some people who say, gee, I don't have the money to get started, I don't have the time to get started. Okay, so when I started, I really didn't have, I was paying the bills, but I didn't have extra money to pay to buy a property. So one night I'm sitting and I'm really frustrated because I know what I'm doing. I have access to properties. I have general contractors and so forth, but I didn't have the money to plunk down to buy a property, even a down payment. And my wife says to me, "Why don't you call your friend Joe, who is a general contractor?" But Joe owned like 40 properties, owns casinos, he owns laundromats, he owns like a billion acres in West Virginia because he likes to hunt. And I'm saying, why would Joe need me? He doesn't need me. Why would I call him? My wife said, what do you got to lose? Maybe he'll want to partner with you or something. So I was very reluctant, but I called Joe. And I was always almost hoping that I would only get voicemail, you know? So I called Joe. Joe calls me Rickster. Hey, Rickster, how you doing, babe? What's going on? So I said, Joe, I got a proposition for you. Well, tell me, Ricky, what's the proposition? I said, how about you and I buy a property together? We'll be 50-50 partners on it. And whatever money we make, we'll split the equity, we'll split the profit. He said, good. I said, here's the thing, Joe. It has to be 100% of your money. Because, frankly, Joe, I don't have extra money to do this. And whatever money, like the half of the what you're lending me to do it, I'll pay you interest on that money. And what do you think, Joe? So it's all your money, but I'll do all the legwork. And I'm like this, you know, waiting for him to, and he says to me, let's do it, Ricky. Okay. So I hang up the phone, and my wife said, you see, honey, good thinking. Good thing you thought about that. Right? She thought about it. But then I said, wait a minute now. How much money does he want to invest? You know, I got to call him back. Joe, it's Rick. Rickster, you got a property already? I said, no, Joe, I got to ask you a question. How much do you want to invest? What do we want to start with? Good question. He thinks there's silence. I'm thinking maybe he's going to say $25,000, $30,000. He says, how about if we start with $250,000? $250,000. Would that work, Ricky? I said, that would work, Joe. So I hung up the phone. And the next day, now this is really before internet and all this, and I put an ad in the paper. And the ad in the paper was a very short ad because you pay by the word. And it said, need to sell your home. We keep it simple and discreet. Call Rick at my number. Same number I have now. And in about 2 weeks, the ad ran for 2 weeks. I got about 10 calls. 9 of them were fishing. Well, if you want to pay me $1 million, my property, okay, I didn't. But one property, which was a lovely home in Ewing, custom-built home, and they were heirs. They didn't want the house, and Joe and I bought the house. So people, I like to use the word awfulize. They project. Well, I'm afraid to ask this question, or I'm afraid to do that because they project getting the wrong answer. I call it awfulizing. So I call up, I looked at the house and so forth, and I did my comps, and I figured that this house would sell for about $250,000. It needed cosmetics. So I called up Joe. I said, Joe, we could go $190,000 on this. You know, put maybe $10,000, $15,000 in, make some money. He said, go for it, Rick. Well, I called up the owner, and I got the wife. I said, and I'm going to start lower. Now, my stomach is turning over, you know, but you got to do it. So I called up and I said, listen, this was like the beginning of, sometime in November, it's around Thanksgiving time. I said, we'd like to offer you $170,000 on the house. We'll take it as is, and we'll close by the end of the year. So, okay, let me talk to my husband. I'll have him call you when he gets home. Okay. So meanwhile, during that time period, I'm saying, oh my God, they're going to laugh at me. You know, this is crazy. I couldn't eat my dinner. My stomach was turning over. Phone rings. My wife picks it up. We still had a wall phone then. Right? I'm dating myself. You know, it was one of these things. It was actually one of the things with a horn, you know. And, oh yes, I remember the guy's name, Mr. Provenzano. Rick is right here. So he gets on the phone and he says, Rick, this is, I forget his first name, Provenzano. And he said, my wife tells me that you're willing to offer us $170,000 for the home, take it as is and close by the end of the year. Do I have that right? Yep. That sounds great. We'll take it. Didn't even counter offer. So we bought the property for $170,000. And I remember going to the house. Now, I have no skills as far as contract and stuff. So he would say, go clean the bathroom. Works for me. Go shampoo the road. Do it. What, Rick, you're screwing it up. Go out and get some donuts. And this, I'm telling you a true story. I took a long walk down to the corner to get the donuts. But it didn't matter, right? You want me to clean the toilet? I'll clean the toilet. I'm doing this for, it's my house now. So we closed. And we sold the house at $250,000. And I walked out with like $25,000. I remember $26,000. I remember looking at the check, and it's made out to me, right? It was like an out-of-body experience. Wow, look at that! So we close. Of course, my wife is very happy. And what does Joe say to me? Ricky, let's do it again. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he do it again, right? So that was my first real experience. But then I started, and now I had some money. So I started buying property on my own. First with my self-directed IRA, and then my LLC when I'm the owner of the LLC. But really, I've been buying property with someone else's money. Instead of having a partner, I've had private lenders. And I bought a bunch of properties not using any of my own money. But the private lender is happy because instead of keeping $100,000 in a money market account at the credit union or a CD at 2%, I'm paying them 5.5%, 6%. They're getting a check every month. It's secured by the mortgage on the property. I don't pay them. They can take the house. It wouldn't happen. But they're happy. And I like to make people happy, Jonathan, So if they're happy and I'm happy, everyone's happy. I'm in the happy business. Let's make people happy. And if we make some money along the way, that's even better. I had written myself a check. Made out to the LLC, which is me, for $60,000. And every day I would say to myself, as part of my affirmations, I just closed the deal. And I got a check at the closing table, made out to my LLC for $60,000. I would say it over and over and over and over and over again. Well, last year, it wasn't last year, I did a flip, a very fast flip in Williamboro. Very fast flip. And all they did was clean it up and turn it over to another investor. But I closed and then did another closing. And at the closing table, I got a check for $59,965. So that stuff works, right? The more you believe in something, you attract things to you. I believe in it. You got to read the book, The Secret. I believe in it. So now I wrote a bigger check. So hanging on my wall, it's $100,000. And I have not a real dollar, I have a currency, a bill, in the same frame, hanging on my wall in my office for $1 million. So I'm not there yet, but I set myself a goal that within a certain time frame, not forever, while I still have my teeth in my mouth, basically by the end of the year, that I'm going to have a net worth in excess of $1 million. Why not? Here's an expression. If you want to succeed beyond your wildest dreams, you've got to start with wild dreams. Most people limit themselves, or they make excuses. People who have a lot of money aren't happy. Well, I'd like to find out. They really they hear about someone who had a lot of money who was a crook or something. Well, if that's what it means to have money, that's ridiculous. I know a lot of people with a lot of money who are really happy, ethical, honest people. But people make excuses for not having money, make themselves feel better. Well, having money is evil. Well, they say the Bible says that the money is the root of all evil. No, It doesn't say that. It says the love of money. So if you're only doing it for the money to have more money, you're gonna have a problem because you'll never have enough. But if you do what you really love and you're creating something that people want, well, the money will be there. If you treat people fairly, they'll want to do business with you, and therefore the money will be there. So, again, I'm in the happy business. Make people happy and make myself happy too. And if I become a millionaire doing it, so good for me. I apologize to nobody because I started with nothing. I started at one point, Jonathan, back in the dark days. They were turning the phone off, and I was $5,000 overdrawn in my checking account. And you talk about stress. That was stressful, but I worked out of it. And if I'm whatever level of success I have now or will have, I owe apologies to nobody because I worked for it. I didn't take advantage of anybody. I made people happy. And if I'm making them happy, I deserve to be happy too. And I must tell you, my wife is delirious. I really don't feel that it requires sacrifices. It requires habits, the right habits. It requires discipline. So instead of going home and watching sitcoms, like tonight I'm going to an educational seminar tonight, so I won't get home until about 9 o'clock. But that's something I choose to do for my business. So that's discipline. It's not a sacrifice. If I choose to read a lot of books on self-improvement, on leadership, on investing. I'm reading a book now, I just started, by Grant Cardone, who says, be obsessive or be average. I just read a book about the meltdown on Wall Street called Too Big to Fail, because I wanted to know more about financing. So if I go home and I read books, or if I go to a educational seminar, do you call that a sacrifice? I don't call that a sacrifice. I call that having the discipline to do what I need to do to advance my business. And I'm doing it for me and my family. That's not a sacrifice. Without perseverance, you will never succeed because you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have potholes. And if they stop you, well, you'll never succeed. The analogy is, I go to the gym. Well, January, all of a sudden, there's all these people I've never seen before because they all made these New Year resolutions, and they go out and they're wearing a sweatband, and of course they're on the treadmill. They're on this. They're going like this. I said, you put the phone down and work out a little bit, and they're working muscles they've never worked before. And what happens is they get Charlie horsed, and it's painful. So what do most of them do? They quit. Now, of course, they already signed the year contract with the gym, so the gym is making money. But they quit, and then they make excuses. Oh, I don't have the time. This is not for me. Blah blah blah. All the other nonsense. But a few people stick with it, and those people eventually work through the pain and start achieving their goals to lose weight or tone up or whatever it is. So whether it's going to the gym, building a business, or learning to play the piano, or anything else in life, you're going to have obstacles. Because think about it this way. If it was all that easy, everybody would be doing it. Right? Everyone would be doing it. But it's the people who can get knocked down and get back up. Get knocked down and get back up. And keep their reason why. Why am I doing this? What's the long-term vision? Why am I doing it? Is it worth doing? Yes, it's worth doing. Okay, what's my plan? Well, here's my plan for doing it. Well, if they keep persevering and they keep doing it, they will succeed doing it. Now people, oh, you're an overnight success. Yeah, it only took me 10 years to become an overnight success because they don't see all the struggles. But if you're not, listen to this, if you're not willing to fail, you will never know success. Because failure is the biggest part of success because you learn from your failures. And if you're learning from them, they're not called failures. This is just called experience. Someone asked Thomas Edison when he invented the incandescent light bulb. There was like 1,000, I don't know how many, 1,000 failures. He said, how did you keep going after 1,000 failures? He said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found out 1,000 times what didn't work. So each time I got a step closer to success. So failure is part of success. You learn from it. Well, the problem is that most people, they have a failure and someone tells them, I told you you could, your uncle tried that one time, he couldn't do it. And my best friend's dog tried, they couldn't do it either. So, just be happy with what you got. And most people settle in life, and then one day they look in the mirror and they got well, of course my hair is not gray, it's executive silver, we just get this straight. But they got wrinkles and they've retired with a gold watch and not enough money to live on. And they're living on Social Security and they have to go get a second job because they were never willing to take a risk. They were never willing to put their hand out there and take a chance of getting it slapped. But if you're not willing to do that, you'll never succeed. So the more you can not get knocked down and get back up, congratulations. You need to get education. You need to surround yourself with people who have done it. They'll help you. Really great people are not selfish. They'll help you. Get an education. There's millions of books out there. There's organizations like South Jersey Real Estate Investment Association you could join. Start surrounding yourself with successful people because you will become like the 5 people you associate, the books you read and the 5 people you associate with. Stay away from the naysayers. They'll destroy you. Get a plan. Work your plan. Don't let anybody stop you. And believe in yourself. Keep first thing, believe in yourself. Well, they've done this, so it can be done. And if they can do it, I can do it. Okay? Don't beat yourself up, but every day you work your plan. And when you believe in yourself and then you start getting some success, well, your belief goes up. Right? The hardest part is to start. It's like starting the locomotive, pulling out of the station. That's but once you get going, you're going on momentum. Think about riding a bicycle. When does it start? You got to start pedaling. But once you get it going, you could actually stop pedaling or ease up a little bit and you're still moving. Can't stop too long. Right? So get education. Believe in yourself. Learn your craft. Learn the tools you need to be successful and go out and do it every day. There are people around you who could be well-intentioned. They don't want you to get hurt. So they'll say, don't expect too much. You got a good job, stay where you are, play it by ear. Sometimes they're well-intentioned. They don't want you to get hurt. Other times, they are not successful. They don't want you to be successful because it'll make them feel real bad. So they're going to try to hold you back. So that's why I just said what I just said. Surround yourself with successful people who have done what you were doing. You will find they're willing to help you. It doesn't mean because they're successful, they're selfish. Most successful people I know are really nice people who are willing to help. So read books, surround yourself. It's so important. Associate yourself with successful people who will encourage you. Stay away from, what? Mom, I love you. I know you're well-intentioned, but this is what I'm doing. I appreciate it if you wouldn't try to be negative about it. Okay? And I'm a big boy. And if I fall on my face, it's my face. I won't ask you for anything other than to just support the little boy, okay? No matter how old I am. And I didn't have that. My mom was always trying. She was she was brought up in depression. She never had anything until maybe a little bit later on. And she wasn't trying to hurt me, but she was saying, Richie, don't expect too much. People like us don't achieve that. I always had the impression that we were like second-class citizens. And it's taken me a long time to get over that. To actually have other people say, Rick, you're fine. You can do this. You're good. And if you don't have the belief in yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? Right? You've got to believe in yourself. That doesn't mean you're arrogant. You could believe in yourself and be very humble. A lot of very successful people are very humble because they realize tomorrow things can change. There are things beyond your control. But you have to believe in yourself. So that's why you got to stay away from people who will tell you you can't do it. Or just be satisfied with second best. Getting to the next level, I set goals for myself yearly, monthly goals. I write down my goals every day. My business is going to grow because I'm going to grow. Your business cannot grow unless you grow. Personal growth is the most important thing. So I still have some growing to do, and I'm going to get into bigger things. Right now, I own predominantly single family and small multis. I'm going to get into bigger multi stuff, maybe some commercial stuff, economy of scale, and keep moving towards my goals. And once you reach a goal, you have to set a new goal, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep growing. If I have to reduce it to one thing, I'm going to keep growing. Everything will generate from that.